All right, McConaughey, what are you doing in the documentary of life that everyone's in, where action was called the day we were born and cut will be called the day we die? Don't half-ass it. Oh! I went away and I encountered what I thought I would encounter. Many things in my past that embarrassed the hell out of me, made me feel guilt.
Like what? You have a way of galvanizing people to go after the good. And I think that's what our country needs. And I'm just wondering, have you given any more thought to entering politics? So most of us know Matthew McConaughey as the rom-com heartthrob, the Academy Award-winning actor. He owns a soccer team. He owns a line of tequila. From the outside, he just seems to have it all. And guess what? He kind of does. And I was shocked in our conversation to discover his life is surprisingly blue zones. In other words, the same things that I found going out in the world and studying the world's longest lived people, the world's statistically happiest people, Matthew McConaughey has put them to work in his life. He has several great secrets for not only living longer, but living happier. This is going to surprise you. I've known Matthew McConaughey for 7 years. I know things that other people don't know. You're going to learn about them right now. Matthew McConaughey. I just like saying the name.
Saying the name?
The name is cool. The name's got a certain lyrical coolness. Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, I remember people called me Matt McConaughey.
No, that doesn't work.
I first got to Hollywood, and I talked to a voice coach of mine. He says, "Oh, it's easy. You want to change it?" And he goes, "Just tell him it's McConaughey rhymes with what would Madonna say?" I said that one time. It's done. Everyone said my last name.
Everybody says it right.
Yeah.
Well, full disclosure, you and I have been on several adventures together, and we're friends.
Yep.
And I know things about you that nobody else knows.
Yep.
So I'm going to reveal more about you in this podcast than anybody's ever heard. I'm going to reach down deep and pull out a Matthew McConaughey people have never heard. So I hope you're ready for it.
Let's go for it.
All right.
All right.
Extra points for vulnerability, too.
All right. And if
All right, I want to
anything
start.
comes up and I don't want to answer, I'll just go, none of your business, Stan. Or your business, Stan. It's none of your business.
You and I actually met over happiness.
Yeah.
6 or 7 years ago, we were at a Google conference, and the who's who of the world was in the audience. I remember the CEOs of Netflix and HBO and celebrities and Nobel Prize-winning scientists and Sting. And I was delivering the talk on happiness to this rather intimidating group. And I asked two questions of the group to identify the happiest people. And those two questions are, do you think life is short or long? And the second question is, do you think life is hard or easy? And it turns out that the people who think life is long and easy are about 40% more likely to be happy than those who aren't. Later on in the lobby, you came up to me. The first things out of your mouth was, I'm one of the happy ones. Right. I'm one of the happy ones. Are you still one of the happy ones?
I think so. But my definition of happiness is not fa la 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 la. Hey, what matters? Let's just go through life head above the clouds. I mean, I'm happiest when I am on the come, on the approach, moving towards an accomplishment or adding logs to the fires that I already have built in my life and seeing them grow, a la family or marriage or career. When I'm building, when I'm in construction, is when I'm happiest. And I am still in construction in most parts of my life. With 24 hours in a day only, I have in the last 6 years started to seek other possible avenues of me and what I'm supposed to do in my life, besides maybe acting in front of a camera. It led me to writing a book, Green Lights. It led me to writing this book, all under the premise of saying, all right, McConaughey, what? So you make movies, you do someone else's script that someone else wrote, someone else directed, someone else lensed in their camera, and someone else edited. That's 4 filters from your raw expression. So what are you doing in the documentary of life that everyone's in, where action was called the day we were born and cut will be called the day we die? And so I was just trying to challenge myself to go, what are you doing as a person, as a man, as a husband, as a father, as a possible leader in life that's in construction? So I kind of created characters, not aberrations, but parts of myself, and said, oh, well, let's be that, be more of that, to write the written word, and put it down in hopes that it could translate to somebody and they could see themselves in me through a written word without me being able to perform it, without me having it lit right. Just the literary word seemed like a massive challenge.
I didn't know you at the time, but I remember seeing you accepting your Academy Award, and you got up and you gave a speech, which has been viewed by millions of people, and you talked about your mom in that. And, I looked at this guy who I just thought, I cannot imagine life getting better for any human being. Was that indeed a peak point in your life?
Sure. Look, I'm getting the trophy from my peers deeming the work I did most excellent. All that work in something, in a craft and a vocation that had become a career for me, not a hobby, a career. Something I was working on, something I understood, something I knew when I did it well and knew when I didn't do it well. Something that I believe improved on and dedicated myself to becoming better at it. So that was definitely a peak. The choices that I was making at that time that led to that, the people that were around me, family, Camilla, the family that came with me on all those locations and supported my decisions. My life was extremely full. And now I was getting outwardly a trophy from my peers in Hollywood.
But how about the fame? Yeah, I think a lot of viewers think about all the fame that comes with an Academy Award, an Oscar. Is fame as great as it looks from our side of the TV?
Probably.
Oh, really? Why?
Access.
I mean, you don't have a. I mean, I've been with you, and it's very hard for you to have a private moment, especially when you walk out.
Yeah, no, it comes with its lack of privacy. It comes with no longer meeting strangers anymore. It comes with losing an anonymous soul, which I think is necessary for everybody, especially any artist. It comes with, like I say, not meeting any strangers. People have a pre-made biography on you before howdy, and they jump right into, sorry about your dog. And you're like, number one, hi, what's your name? Number two, how'd you know I had a dog? Number three, how'd you know she had cancer? It's like, whoa, you're kind of trespassing. That, and you can't be everyone for everyone. People go, oh, you changed. Like, damn right I changed. Yeah, hopefully. So you also have to make time you have to work harder to carve time for yourself and for what you care about, irregardless of the rest of the world. And that becomes harder to do. You have expectations on you. So if you're famous for one thing, for instance, I was famous for rom-coms. I had to leave the business for 2 years to get the ability to do something else. And for 2 years, people were going, what are you doing? That's not, no. You can't do that. You can't do that. So it's harder, if you get famous for one thing, it's harder to maybe move over and try something else. But, I mean,
what's the sweet part?
I'm saying the upside is just the chance to make those changes, no matter how hard they are. The access to things, people, places, experiences that come with fame are awesome. Backstage passes, whatever in life, are great. And I would not trade it. I also, though, am a realist, and you know me well enough to know that once something's inevitable, I'm like, that check's been cashed. The last thing I'm going to do is bitch about it, right? If there's nothing I can do about it, there's no going back for me. So the last thing I'm going to do is go, oh, man, I hem and haw about my existence. So am I being optimistic and talking about the upside of it? You damn right I am, because I am famous. Ain't no going back on it.
But you can fall further than the rest of us. But
it also comes with inherent ladders to maybe rise higher than I would be able to without fame. And I mean, I'll take that opportunity to bet on that. And yes, I can fall further. You damn right. And with fame comes certain people and enemies that I've never done wrong, that want, just inherently with human nature, want to see me fall.
Yeah.
I don't think I have as many as a lot of people, but I got them. And I don't know, after years, I've been doing this 35-something years. And I've got enough of a life that has nothing to do with my fame going on that secures me and not only keeps my heels on the ground, but gives me the courage to fly. That fame is, it's not the paramount. It's not what I'm chasing or working my ass off to make sure I maintain.
It's a byproduct.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
There's something about an Oscar that most people don't know. There was an article in the Annals of Internal Medicine in 2006 that studied the life expectancy of actors, of all actors, and then of those actors that got an Oscar, won an Academy Award. And it turns out that the actors who won the Academy Award lived 4 years longer.
They got more work.
Does that make any sense to you?
Not really, but maybe. Geez, oh man, they live 4 years longer. Oh, imagine if they'd have played tennis. They might have 12 years longer, so I hear.
Yeah, you got a bonus for you.
Hey, more work. You do get, coming off of an Oscar, I will say this, one of the main things, like coming off of an Oscar, you get more options, more choices. More of the top tier material does come in front of you to choose from. And if you choose wisely and you get lucky and you're on top and riding that wave of that momentum for longer, you have that opportunity to. Maybe that has something to do with it. So it's definitely not a regressive thing. It's not like you win the Oscar and you're like, okay, I'm going to recede now. I'm going to retire. I did it. I never looked at it like that. And I don't know any other actors that did either.
Do you feel better about yourself? Maybe higher status?
Sure. It was affirmation. Sure. Again, for my peers to have said, we deem that work the most excellent work by a male lead this year. Hell yeah.
That's huge.
And I'm aware, I felt like the work was honest and true. Now, does it have to be a lot of other things? Do you have to also be in a good movie? Yeah. There's plenty of great performances we've never seen because the movie sucked. There's great performances on the cutting room floor that we've never seen that could have won Oscars if they'd have been built up and put and edited right and put in the right movie. So to have a lot of foundation things going for me, yeah, was it the kind of role that I think I performed well in a movie that was good, that also had an extreme weight loss, which kind of goes, wow. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't doing it for that, but that's a byproduct of, man, I mean.
You worked your ass off on that. People, I think that somebody sends you a script, you memorize the script, and you say it, and you get the Oscar.
No,
but
no.
That was nearly a year of your life, wasn't it? Preparing and.
Yeah, well, and there was.
Well, by the way, we're talking about the Dallas
Buyers Club. Yeah, I mean, look, the weight loss was a 5-month thing in a diet I was on. It was 2.5 pounds a week, like clockwork. That was not hard.
How much did you lose altogether?
47.
47 pounds. Wow. And if you wouldn't mind, share the diet you were on. You told me, but.
Yeah, I would get up in the morning and have 3 or 4 egg whites or a little thing of tapioca pudding, which good secret if you're going to get on this diet and you're having pudding. Don't get a teaspoon. Get one of those little Southern sugar spoons. Makes it last longer. Smaller bites. 5 ounces of fish and a cup of vegetables for lunch. 5 ounces of fish and a cup of vegetables for dinner, and as much wine as I wanted to drink.
Not exactly a Blue Zone diet, but not horrible either.
2.5 pounds a week, like clockwork. And I thought that exercise had a lot to do with it. The first 2 weeks, I was burning 2,000 calories a day on a treadmill. Then I broke my foot. No exercise, same diet, same amount of work, same amount of weight drop.
There was a study that came out last month that showed the effect of a diet is 10 times greater than exercise. Yeah. So in other words, you cannot burn fat. Right. If you're overweight, you cannot overcome a bad diet. Right. So,
and I think it's more true the older we get too.
Yeah, metabolism slows down 2% per year. So by the time we get to our age, we're not burning as much.
Now, what I have learned though, at the same time, say my favorite weight, my fight weight's 186, right? 186, now say if I have to diet to keep that, right? I could diet to keep that and say I don't exercise. Look at me in 3 months at 186, dieting to maintain 186, and look at me 3 months from now, working out, eating more, but working out to maintain 186. The working out and diet and eating more to maintain 186 looks better.
Yeah.
It's fuller, it's got more fat content, and it's less gaunt, it's more energy.
You and I hiked Buckskin Gulch. It was 25 miles, ass deep in water. We biked over the mountains in North Vietnam. You're in good shape. and 55 years old. You don't look 55. What is your routine? How do you eat, and how do you keep in shape?
So, look, I go through seasons. When I was writing Green Lights, I went ahead and told myself, be a writer. And if you're hot and writing and you're in a groove, you ain't got to get up for nothing. You don't want to go exercise. And I was consumed with writing, where I was writing 17 hours a day. And mind you, I was kind of losing weight because I was forgetting to eat. I'd have to remind myself, you got to go to sleep and drink some water.
That's like writing like Jack Kerouac.
That's how it was like. It was like that. I also had times when it was the editing process and then doing all the rest where I just kind of let myself go, and I ended up putting on some weight, and that felt fine and good. I've been, I try to stay within a few weeks of getting in shape for maybe whatever role. Now, what I do now is I'm trying to stay in shape to not get injured and to still be able to go out there and be athletic with my kids and to still be athletic enough to go play tennis and move around and be at a weight where I like the way my clothes fit and I feel good and I got a good amount of energy. I'll get up in the day. For the past, year, my daily routine would be get 9.5 hours of sleep.
That's generous.
Yeah. Get up. Thank you, Camilla, for that. As she says, I'd rather be around you. I'd rather get up before you and do the stuff that needs to be done when you get 9 hours of sleep than be around you with 7.5 hours.
For those who don't know, Camilla is Matthew's better three-quarter.
Yes. Amen. So I'll get up. I'm pretty Spartan at breakfast. Matcha, a couple matcha teas and some kombucha in the morning. If I'm hungry, I'll eat a little bit of yogurt and berries or maybe some scrambled eggs. But a lot of times I'll just skip it and kind of ride that little caffeine buzz in the morning until 12:30 or 1. I have a lunch. I usually do some sort of seafood I prefer or chicken. Usually seafood with a little bit of salad, a lot of tomatoes I'm into right now. I have a couple of green juices through the day. One right after lunch. I have my first cup of coffee after lunch.
Is that right?
Yeah. And
that's how non-conventional. Most people get up and start their day with coffee.
I'd love to in the morning, but I don't like how I feel in the afternoon. The coffee in the morning, I love how I feel until 1 p.m., but it steals the energy. I have a drop off.
Oh, interesting.
And it steals future energy from me. We've talked about this. I've tried that thing about, wait an hour. Wait till you're up for an hour and then have a cup of coffee. Whatever it is about the caffeine rush that I get in coffee, if I have it in the morning, it grabs a debit from my energy in the afternoon. So I'll have my first cup and maybe 2 cups of the day at, say, 1:30 and then 4. And that's my favorite if I'm powering through the afternoon. I'll then, in the afternoon, do my work. I usually do my workout. I prefer to do my workout at 5 o'clock, 5, 6 o'clock. I have much more energy and power.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Working out in the afternoon. Then if I can grab some tennis or whatever before dinner, come back, have dinner. For dinner, we'll have a lot less red meat than we used to. But, fish or chicken of some form or some other white meat for dinner. And, I like my beans and...
He's just sucking up to me now.
No, I do. I actually do like my legumes. I know that can get you started though. And then, I'll finish dinner, hang out, and then I'll pour my first drink of Pantelo's tequila to probably about 9. 1, 2 of those, and be hitting the hay at about 11. Close my eyes about 11:40.
But Joe, you're the only person I know who can drink a tequila at 9 or 10 o'clock at night and go to bed like a baby. I call
really?
it McConaughey.
Chamomile.
Chamomile.
What does it do to you? What's it do to you? You don't go to sleep?
No, I don't sleep very well. Most people don't sleep very well if they drink very close to bedtime. I'm a big fan of Pantelo's tequila, by the way. I think it's very pure. If you're going to drink, it's either red wine or Pantelo's tequila. But I usually, these days, I drink a little bit with dinner, maybe a little bit after, and then call it off. But like people in the blue zones, most days are healthy days. 1,000 out of 1,100 meals are whole plant-based. And then they'll pig out during festivals. Same with me. About 1 day a month, I like to go deep where I'll stay up late.
Yeah.
Usually a Friday night.
Once a month?
Once a month.
That's it?
Well, where I'll have more than 1 or 2 glasses of wine.
Okay. And that is because?
Well, older people metabolize alcohol differently than younger people. So it doesn't provide the lift it used to provide. It interferes with sleep. The hangover is much longer. If I have 3 or 4 drinks on a Friday night, it's not until Sunday when about the time 60 Minutes is starting that I'm getting over it. So it may just be that I hit it too hard in my younger life.
I don't know. I went pretty hard in my younger life too. I mean, I speaking of that a diet without meat, we go a couple of weeks at a time with that. And I used to be hard. It's not hard anymore. Maybe that's because there's so many new cool recipes to eat without meat. But I'm
sure you're cooking out of the Blue Zone cookbook all the time.
Oh, we've definitely eaten out of the Blue Zone cookbook, sir.
Think about what gives your life meaning, your relationship, your values, your goals. Now, imagine your mind constantly attacking those things with disturbing, unwanted thoughts that feel painfully real and persistent, even when there's no evidence to justify them. If this sounds familiar, you might be experiencing something more than everyday worry. Thoughts like these can be signs of OCD. Real OCD isn't about being tidy or liking things neat. It shows up as unwanted, intrusive thoughts that cause intense distress. OCD needs a type of specialized therapy called ERP, or exposure and response prevention, not regular talk therapy, which can make it worse. And that's where NoCD comes in. NoCD is the world's leading provider of OCD treatment with licensed therapists who truly understand OCD and specialize in treating it with ERP therapy. Therapy with NoCD is covered by insurance for over 155 million Americans, and they provide support between sessions, so you're never facing OCD on your own. If any of this sounds familiar, go to nocd.com and book a free 15-minute call to learn more about how they can help you. That's nocd.com, and don't let OCD hold you back from the life you want. As a National Geographic explorer, I spend most of my life on the road. I like to say my main residence is a backpack, but actually I also have a real home. And because I'm not there most of the time, I usually host on Airbnb while I'm away. Next month, in fact, I'm taking a team of scientists to Sardinia where we found a new blue zone. And while I'm away, my home will be on Airbnb because it makes sense. And the income I make off of that covers most of my expenses. So I'm a big fan of Airbnb and how it solves a big corner of my little universe. Your home might be worth more than you think. Find out how much at airbnb.com/host. The best trip I took in recent memory was a Duvine trip. I gathered up 10 of my best friends, and we took a trip to the Blue Zone with Duvine. They took of everything. And as a cyclist who likes to have a bike that's working, who likes to eat good meals, and who likes to know what I'm seeing as I go, I could not have asked for a better experience than with Duvine. And not only that, it turns out that cycling is one of the best activities for longevity. It's one of the top 3. Why? It's easy on the joints. You get regular, low-intensity physical activity. It's not boring. It requires some balance, something you can do for the long run. Duvine believes cycling is for everyone, so they design trips for all levels of experience. And they'll take you anywhere from easygoing bike paths in Holland to epic climbs in France. Plus, they offer e-bikes to make the trip accessible to everybody. And the support van is always with you for not only emergency repairs or water or snacks or to carry your extra gear. So whether you're a seasoned cyclist or a total beginner, if you're ready to give it a try, our listeners get $150 off per person when you book your first Duvine tour. Head to duvine.com/livebetterlonger to book now. How many hours a week do you work?
That's a fun question because some of my best ideas, the ones that have paid off, let's call it work, the ones that have had the best ROI, have come after 10 p.m. on Saturday night. I'm always, as a creative, I'm always writing, jotting down notes, whether it's an idea, whether it's an inspiration, whether it's something I heard somebody say, whether it's a malaprop, joke I told, my kids thought I said something I didn't say, and I write down what they thought I said, and I go, oh, they actually malapropped, and it's funnier. Or something I'll read, I'll pull an article or a paragraph from the news, and I log these things. At the end of each month, I'll get them all together and look and see where they fit in the silo of where my perspective is going. Do I have a theme? And 100% of them, 100 times, they fall into a silo of certain themes. I gather those. Those have led to the books that I'm writing. Look, if I go, like today, what have I done? I've worked from 9. And if we're calling this work, I'll work till 6:30 and had 30 minutes for lunch. I like to back it. I don't like a gap in the afternoon. Oh, you work till 1 and you're off till 4. That 3 hours, I don't like it at all. And I don't work well in that 3 hours because I feel like it's got a curfew on it. Especially, I'm not going to be creative in that 3 hours because I know I've got a cap. And when I'm going to be creative is when I'm like, you have no curfew. You can sit here until.
Yeah.
And
the spirit's moving you.
I'm not going to
Don't go to bed.
Don't go to bed. Don't get up. Don't have to go to the next appointment, you know? So I don't like gaps in my day between work. I'd rather get up and get after it and go back to back, and I can stay in a flow. And it's a yes flow. I'm on. And then I can check if I've got to compartmentalize my thoughts for what the different meetings are for. I'll do that. But then at the same time, creatively, I may, get on something when I sit down at 11 at night and I wake up at 12 at night and I got an idea and I got a note. I'm going to lean over, I'm going to write that note. And all of a sudden, if that spurs another thought, I'm going to follow it up. That may lead to 2 hours later, I've now moved out of bed because I don't want to wake up Camilla, and I'm out on my laptop deconstructing that original idea that came in my head at midnight.
Wow.
And if that takes me to 4 in the morning, or I can get enough down, or 6 in the morning, that like, okay, I'm formulating a thought here, and I think this is something worth following, and I've got a foundation here, I'll do that. And then come back to it later and try to follow up and go, now, is this worth sharing in any way? Is this applicable to life in any way? That's usually my measuring point of the things I write. Is it applicable to practicality of more satisfactory living, or more humor, or more forgiveness, or more courage, or what about any of those values?
Or increasingly more poetry. I remember when you told me about green lights. I remember you called me on New Year's Eve about 6 years ago, and you said, I'm going to write this book. I don't know if you remember.
I do remember this. You were one of the first person I handed it to, and you gave me great notes.
Yeah, I was very honored to do that. And I'll be honest, when I first read it, I thought this ran the risk of being a vanity book. And you went to work hard, and you converted a memoir into a really impressive handbook. I thought you did a brilliant job of metabolizing your life experiences, many of which the rest of us will never have, but also a keen understanding of your very humble roots. You had a tough childhood, or you worked hard, and you had more struggles than I think people know. And you somehow metabolized that into some very clear thinking. And one of my favorite quotes from Green Lights is about happiness, and how happiness is more about responsibility, your family, and the alignment between who you are and what you do. And those are one of the lines as a writer myself. I said, damn, I wish I would have written that line, because it beautifully kind of sums up the philosophy of Blue Zones, but it's applicable whether you are an Academy Award winner or you're the janitor cleaning up the local high school. And where does that come from? First of all, did I sum it up correctly? And
yeah, I think so.
Where was your brain when you?
I'll say this: like, one of the things I noticed when I went to write Green Lights, I took my 35 years of journals away with myself on my own, and until that point, I was very afraid, and still afraid, to look back over my shoulder, which I've never been one to look to the past. I like to hear myself talk. I don't like to hear myself play back. I like to make movies. I don't love watching them. It scares me a little bit.
Yeah, I like listening to your own voice on your answering machine.
As it's coming out. No, I don't like hearing it on my answering machine. I like it right now as it's coming out,
Yeah,
but I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear it played back,
Yeah.
even 2 seconds later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I went away and I encountered what I thought I would encounter. Many things in my past that embarrassed the hell out of me, made me feel guilt,
Like what?
shame. Times when I was an egotistical prick and a know-it-all about certain things.
Well, can you say one? Because I think that's where the rubber hits the road.
There was times when I was very arrogant.
I remember one.
What?
I remember, you may or may not want to tell the circumstances around, you had a manager who was working for you and got a little bit too big for his britches. He's still a good friend of yours.
Yep. Well,
I thought that told a lot about you. Both, sometimes you need to do what you need to do to get her done, so to speak. But yeah. So sometimes, you got to make hard decisions.
Well, that was one which kind of leads into ownership and renting, owner rent, and how we go into relationships. And I always say this: look, like everybody, when we hire, whether it's an assistant or find a new friend or whatever, we go into it like, I hope this will be a lifer. Very seldom is it. Very seldom are those lifers. How many people have the same assistant they hired 40 years ago? Not many. If you're lucky if you got some.
I have Sam. He's been with me 17 years.
See, you guys are doing it. You guys are doing it, and you got some. We have some old friends. We have some, but most, I believe, for most people, end up not working out, and that's all right. Now, that being said, this story was a good friend of mine from college who came to work for me and running my production company. He didn't run, he worked in it, he was in development. And there was a lunch we had, and I was living at the chateau. We had the lunch, and he wanted to talk about year-end bonus and talk about what the next year is going to hold. And I was like, we were talking about it, and I was like, yeah, well, I mean, what you're asking for, I understand that, but we're not really, I don't think I'm not seeing that. It's just on the books. I'm not seeing that we're not making that. We're still losing. And I was like, but what does he want? He goes, I want this. I want what you got. I want this. And I went,
wrong lane.
Oh, buddy. And it hit me right then. I was like, this isn't going to work. And I had to let him go there on the spot. And I was like, we're friends, but this.
He was no longer on Team McConaughey.
And I get it, because when you're in position I'm in, and it happens with a lot of people in my position, no matter how much work people are doing on this side, it comes through the lens of, well, Matthew did it. Well, Matthew did it. And a lot of times it's right, but a lot of times it's not. Like with my family now, it's stuff Camilla does helps me succeed tremendously. I've got a lot of people that help support me, but it comes through that lens, and it's easy for sometimes people to go, as your friend or manager or coworker, to go, well, that's unfair. That's just the way. That's kind of just how it goes.
That's right.
Springsteen's talked about it. Everyone's talking. That's kind of just how it goes. And you got to go, they're over there to take that. They're the lead singer for a reason. They got the spot on.
That's right.
Just take that. Hey, support the band, and hopefully you got a lead singer that comes back and goes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Band was great tonight, man. I couldn't do this without you. Right. But
you're still the
publicly, you got to go. And he went, I want this. And I had to let him go. I fired him that day. And it was hard because he was a good friend. And we didn't talk for a while. And we kept in, contact around Christmas or here or there, a little small, obligatory little note here and there. But I went back to LA one time. He knew I was coming back to LA, and it was years later. And he goes, can I meet you, man? And like 7, 8 years later. And we had lunch. And he sat there, and over tears, he sat there and he told me, and I had him in my eyes. He goes, thank you. Because you did me one of the biggest favors.
Is that right?
Anyone's ever done me. You let me go because I was out of my zone. I was chasing things that weren't mine to chase for what I needed to do for the company. And it forced me, humbled me to go focus on what I need to do. And he gave me a great story, and he's found this wife, Charlie, and she was a music supervisor. They moved down back home in Alabama. Yes. Life is great. They zeroed in on himself and his life and what he could do. And he thanked me, and we've had hugs over it. And I did not have any idea that would be the outcome of that. I just remember that day loving this guy as a friend, but going, oh, as a business relationship, this is not going to work if this is what you're.
I loved how you recognize that. You know, I'm from the Midwest, Minnesota, and it's a place of humble and apologetic people you can trust. But it's also a place where the tall tree gets chopped down. And the moral of that story for me is there are taller trees, and sometimes you just need to own it.
And there's trees that the spotlight will be on them. It's like they say in sports about the quarterback. They'll say the quarterback gets too much credit for the win and too much credit for the loss. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we're not going to moralize right or wrong. That's just how it is. And if you're the Springsteen of the band, or you're the movie star who has a production company, has a team around them, that person's going to get the spotlight on them. They will get hailed for certain things that you maybe did 80% of the work to set up for them to do, and all they did was walk in and knocked it out. They're going to get that. You can't get jealous of that. That's a service to go, you're in that position. I'm not going to go, it's going to sink the ship if I go to challenge you because I want to be spotlight on me too. No, I want the credit. I want the credit. It's a humble position of being a manager in businesses, you know, that help create things that have to go, look, I'm content and like it as a support system in the shadows. This person's going to get the spotlight. And I understand where the jealousy, where the jealousy.
Well, what people don't realize, you get the spotlight, but you're also responsible for the downside.
Well, that's true.
If it doesn't work, you fail.
You take the hammer.
60 other people.
And you take the hammer as well.
Yeah.
In any kind of failure or perceived failure.
You know, people reading your bio, and I think, you know, you're going to be on a magazine cover. I don't know if I can say what cover it's going to be, but you look like you have a charmed life. You won the Academy Award. You own part of a soccer team. You own a tequila company. You live in a beautiful house. You have a beautiful wife. Your children are all, you know, perfect or near perfect. You have great friends. You go to great events. You're enormously talented. You have fun. But what people don't see, and one of the reasons I think people should pick up Poems and Prayers here, your new book, you have a chapter entitled Fuck Ups, Daymares,
Wobbly, Lost, and Looking.
And I'm actually going to ask you to read just one paragraph. I got it open for you.
Ooh. Fuck ups, Daymares, wobbly, lost, and looking. We all been there. I continually miss the mark, come up short, sin. I am not the man I aim to be. The father, the friend, the husband, the artist I aim to be. I don't like it, but I wonder if we're not missing, coming up short, or sinning enough, maybe we aren't trying hard enough. Are we not venturing close enough to the front lines of life's battles? I'm not sure, but I don't believe that God wants us to stay warm and cozy in the even money exchange rate of doing just enough not to dare sin, failure, or coming up short. To leave this life and arrive home with fewer sins but less victories might even be a sin itself. Yeah, I wonder, you know.
So powerful.
Well, there's that, if there's God and a final judge, even if there's not, what's a better life? To have taken 8 risks, 8 aims, and hit 7 of them? Or to take 100 and hit 8?
I'll go with 100.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And it goes to that Thomas Merton quote. I think, God, I don't know if I'm pleasing you, but I'm trying. And I believe trying pleases you. Trying. And that's part of what this whole book is about, saying, hey, man, come on, let's just not quit trying. You
also have that great line, just keep living. You often sign off.
Yeah.
It's like keep living. And living is about, it's not just existing. It's easy to exist.
Yeah.
It's harder to try, risk failure, but that's what real living is. But what I loved about that passage and that chapter. You know, this podcast is also about vulnerability. I've learned it the hard way. I've always thought that my wealth, my worth, my self-worth, and my outward worth is a function of what I achieve.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm learning that's not necessarily the case. I do these Jeffersonian dinners. We were at one last night. And I asked a question about a year ago in Sardinia with a bunch of guys. The first night I asked a question about what their big idea for the world was. And there was a lot of sort of chest pounding, and these alpha males went on upping themselves. But the second night we asked the question, what was the worst point of your life, the lowest point of your life? And what did you learn from it? And that's when these extremely powerful guys opened up and really connected.
Yeah.
And you weren't there,
No.
but I'm going to ask it to you right now. What was the lowest point of your life? Because your life just seems so charmed, but it wasn't always, was it?
Well, I'm not going to go and say, oh, when my dad died, or oh, and so-and-so died, because I understand that's part of life. Those were hard times, but everyone goes through those. So I'm trying to think specifically of my lowest times. And there's times where I've let people down. The ones that wake me up still are 1987, Navarre Beach, Florida, there for the summer. Met the lady who ran the whole beach for all the beach boys, and they'd come work the Cabana boys on the beach. And I was out there, and she local Florida kids, and I was from Texas. And I said, I want this job. She goes, no, you're not from here. I was like, I'll be here next summer. She was like, you sure? I said, I'll be here. And went to school the next year and came out that summer and went off somewhere else. And I never called her. And I don't even know if I had her number, but I could have found her if I put on. And I have this image of her going, looking around and going, that son of a bitch.
He promised.
Show. He told me he'd be here this year. That was one. That was with this, not a stranger, but someone I just kind of knew. Another one was, and it's I have to tell the story in green lights. The lying to my dad the night I stole that damn pizza, and the look on his face when he knew that I had stolen it, but just wanted me to admit it to him.
Can you kind of set the story up?
Yeah, I'd gone out with a friend, and my mom was out of town. This wasn't the second divorce or anything. She was actually just out of town, and you know, I get home, and me and my buddy had gone out, and we'd gone to Pizza Hut, walked on this pizza, bam, stole it. That was the plan. We did it. I get home, my dad's on the phone in his underwear, side of bed, talking to my friend's dad, and he's like, "All right, Mr. So-and-so, yeah, I got him. No, he just walked in the door. Yep, I got it." Hangs up the phone. What'd you do tonight? I went, bud, we got a pizza. He goes, did you pay for that pizza? Now, folks, when your parent says, did you pay for that pizza? And they just got off the phone, that means they know that they know you didn't. Okay? But Mr. Weasel out it over here goes, well, I mean, I think we paid for the pizza. I don't know why we wouldn't have paid for it. So I'm look up and take a breath. That was the first arrow to me about, I started to feel myself just becoming the hypocrite, becoming a fool, becoming a wuss. And he goes, I'm going to ask you again, bud, did you pay for that pizza? Well, I mean, I left. I went first. I left first, and I went out to the car. Bud stayed in after me, and he, I think he paid because, son, I'm going to ask you one last time. Just level with me, bud. Did you know you're going to steal that pizza? What? I mean, when whop, he backhanded me. I hit the floor, hit the corner, about pissed my pants, knees buckled. Not from the strike.
Did he hit you?
A backhand.
Okay.
Not a vicious strike, no bruise, a red cheek, no problem. Yeah. But I remember that feeling of cowardice. And the look in my dad's eye, just looking at me going, a father saying to himself, what do I got to do?
Yes.
What am I doing wrong as a father that I've raised a son who can't damn tell me he stole a goddamn pizza, man? And he got tears in his eyes. because of feeling like a failure as a father. And none of this over here has anything to do with the strike. That was a wake up, and I needed it and deserved it. And I'm Kraus, pissed in my pants, legs googly from the lactic acid of the lying little shit I was, who didn't have the courage to just go, yeah, I did. And then he went on to tell me, man, I've stolen plenty of pizzas in my day. Why didn't you just tell me? But the fact that you couldn't tell me, son, you lied to me. I gave you 3 chances to tell me the truth. That feeling, I felt like a coward. I felt like a fool. I felt weak. I felt vulnerable. I felt like an absolute failure.
Very biblical. It's like Peter and Jesus.
And I just remember the look on my dad's face of him feeling like he had failed as a father and going through, what have I done? What have I not done? And what do I need to do if my son can't even just tell me? And
it wakes you up 40 years later.
Which still wakes me up. And then the third one, scuba diving 10 years ago, Tahiti, 20 feet of water, down low on the bottom. I've scuba dived many, many times. Camilla hasn't scuba dived that many, many times. We were at the bottom. We were very comfortable with each other. And we were ready to do the mask switch. And I went to switch with her, and we had to come to the top. She was fine, but being the advanced diver, it was not my place to do that.
To switch masks with her?
Switch air.
Uh-huh.
She didn't breathe out. She didn't breathe out. And that should have been a conversation above water.
Yeah.
Before doing the action below water. So I still wake up with that nightmare. That was me not measuring the context of the situation and the technicality of the situation.
That was an honest mistake, though. And when you're 20 feet down, it's not like a premeditated or
no. Look, and
mistake, but
but also jumping the gun.
Yeah,
me, and I have a line in here about I hope more crimes are from ignorance, and that's kind of what you're talking about. Honest mistakes. I wish more crimes were from ignorance rather than no. I know exactly what I was doing, and I chose to commit the crime. There's a lot of things people do. They screw up, and they just like I didn't know. And those, I believe, we need to seek amnesty and allow rehabilitation for. But there's a lot of crimes that people commit where like, no, I know exactly what I was doing. And those are the ones we got to watch out for.
The stolen pizza story is such a great story because it illustrates the point perfectly. I told you last night that I never hit my kids. I have 3 kids. And I told them very early on, if they admitted to something they did wrong, they would never be punished. And they learned very early on how to game that. They would tell me. But here, your father and that experience gave you a lesson about lying that I'll bet made you think twice for the rest of your life about lying. I mean, the power of that story, well, first of all, it's very vulnerable. I think it humanizes you. But secondly, it shows the power of letting a kid learn his own lesson as opposed to kind of smacking him into it or punishing him into learning the lesson.
Give me 3
internal
full
features.
Chances. And if I would have told him in any of those 3 responses, yes, sir, I did, he'd have gone, God damn, buddy. Evidently, you got to get better at getting away with it. That would have been it. And we'd have laughed. And he said, I stole some too. Now, hey, buddy, what are you out of money or something? Is it because can you not pay for a pizza? What the hell, man? You don't be running around stealing pizza, but I get it. You're doing it for the buzz or what, but it would have been that conversation. He would have got out of bed. We'd have gone in there, probably had a beer and had to talk about it. And said like, well, don't make a habit of that shit. You got enough. We're not paying enough. Aren't we paying enough for you doing your chores to pay for a damn pizza? You know what I mean? But it would have been that. And I didn't give that chance.
You told me another story about your dad, which has inspired me to this day. And you were thinking about acting, and you called him.
Yep.
And you asked him, you unpacked what the situation was, and then he said something to you. I wonder if you could tell that.
Yeah, story. I can. So I was always expected to go be the family lawyer, and I was a good debater, and I would good orator.
You did become the Lincoln lawyer.
Yeah, and Jake Berganson, Time to Kill, played lawyers on TV and on the screen. But that's what I was going to go to school for. When I went to University of Texas, that's where I was taking my liberal arts and philosophy degree to go to law school. And between my junior and sophomore year, between my sophomore and junior year, mind you, it had come to me, I was not sleeping well with the idea of becoming a lawyer, with going to law school and then getting out. No, maybe making my mark in this life when I turned 30. I was like, no, I don't want to go get educated just for all of my 20s. And I'd been writing a lot and sharing some short stories with a friend of mine who was in film school at NYU. He was like, man, this is pretty good writing. Plus, have you tried being in front of the camera? Which I was like, no, I'm not that, but behind the camera, maybe. Anyway, I got confident enough with the stories and the idea of becoming a storyteller that I decided I wanted to go to film school. But Dad's paying for school, and I got to make that call to get permission. So I picked the time, and I remember saying, I'll do it Tuesday night at 7:30, because Monday's the first work week. There's a bit more stress. Tuesday, he'll be well into the week. 7:30, he's already home. He's had dinner. He's on the couch with my mom having his first beer. This is a good
Got it all
time,
dialed in.
right?
Yeah.
7:36 p.m. Ring. Hello. Hey, Pop. Hey, what's up, monkey man? Can I talk to you a second? Sure, bub. I said, Dad, I don't want to go to law school anymore. I want to go to film school. That bead of sweat started down the back of my neck. Here it comes. I'm waiting to hear him go, you want to what, boy? That's a hobby. On the Saturday, maybe, but no, that's not a great, Pause. What you going to say? Huh. Were you sure that's what you want to do? Yes, sir. Well, don't half-ass it. Oh, jet fuel, man. Yes.
It was both permission and a warning.
And leverage and kick in the backside and empowerment. Let's get it on.
Don't half-ass it. I love that.
And, since I've shared that story, and I want to add this because I don't think I've shared this as much. Part of what happened in that moment, besides him giving me the perfect jet fuel and affirmation to go do what I wanted to do, was something happened, I believe, to his ears. And what he heard from his son, I think, is something that we all as parents hope one day we'll hear from our kids. We've lined up guidelines for them. This ladder, here you go. If you do this, you can succeed in life, get a job and do these things. And this is how we do it. And if we go on in those lines, we'll probably have some form of success. But when our child comes to us and they're not really asking permission, and they say, I'm going outside the lines, Mom. I'm going outside the lines, Dad. This is the way I'm going. We want to check and see if they'll stutter, if they'll blink, or if they're a two-step bit. And the way I said, I want to go to film school and not go to law school, I didn't really pose it as a question. And the way after he said, are you sure that's what you want to do? And I immediately said, yes, sir. I didn't go, well, I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yes, sir. He heard it in my voice that I wasn't asking permission, that I had thought about this. And I was coming in, making a statement, Dad, I'm asking for your permission, but this is what I want to do. And he heard that. And I think in that moment, I didn't see him, but I think he had an internal pride of, there we go. That's my boy.
That's interesting.
Bam, you broke out of it. You're going your own way. And I think every parent in some version would love to hear that from their child, where they're not asking permission. They're asking out of respect. He's paying my tuition, but they want you're going your own way.
But he didn't say, well, son, let's think this through.
Mm-mm.
No, I love that brevity is the soul of humor. I think it's also the soul of wisdom.
Yeah.
And rather than going on and on about this decision, to just say, don't half-ass it.
Yeah.
Not only gives you that jet fuel, but it also takes all the upbringing he gave you and in one phrase says, you know what you need to do.
Yep. Yes.
And
yeah. And a grace that came with that, because he died of a heart attack soon after that, like a year after that. I then go to film school for that year, get the confidence to also go in front of the camera, walk in the right bar, right time, get rolling Days Confused. And then I start my first role in Days Confused. 3 lines turned into 3 weeks work. But
could you say those 3 lines?
Well, the 3 lines were, the one launch pad line that was written was Wooderson's leaning up against the wall outside the pool hall. High school girls walk by. He checks one of them out. His buddy goes, "You got to cut that out, Wooderson. You're going to go to jail." And Wooderson says, "No, man. That's what I love about those high school girls, man. I get older, they say the same age." Now that line, I was like, who the hell is that? What if that guy is saying that not as an attitude, not as a clever thing to say to make people laugh, but what if that's his credo, his philosophy, his personal politics? Well, I've got a encyclopedia on who that guy is. You know what that guy's buying at 7-Eleven. You know what's in his fridge at home. You know what kind of car he drives. You know all kinds of things. You know how he walks, how he talks, where he is and where he is not. And so that line informed me of who that guy was. And anyway, I go to work on that film. The 3 lines turned to 3 weeks work. On the 5th day of working on that film, I get the call from my mom, Monday night. "Your dad died this morning." Boom, knees crumble. I go home. We have the wake, all that stuff. Family says, "Get your butt back to work. You've been here 4 days now. Get back home." I go back to work. But my dad was alive for the first 5 days that I started something that was not a hobby, that was not a fad, that was not a season, that became a 37-year career.
Yeah, he passed the baton.
That I have not half-assed.
What a gift.
Grace in
5
that.
days.
Grace in that. He overlapped that, yeah.
You had a complex relationship with him. What was he like?
I don't know. Did I have a complex relationship with him? I was the 3rd child. Business got good in the 80s. We moved to Longview in 79, which is the fastest growing oil town in the United States. And he was traveling salesman, and he all of a sudden had a staff under him. Whereas before, with my older 2 brothers, he had the one Texaco station, and he worked at Ginsco as a salesman down the road from the house. And he got more successful, and all of a sudden he's got 26 employees, so he's moving around more. He's not coaching my baseball team, so he wasn't around as much. I was raised more by my mom probably than my 2 older brothers. I don't know how complex the relationship was, though. He was always there. I mean, I was so jealous of the stories that I would hear the next day about the time that he had with his friends and my older 2 brothers. And I so wanted to be a part of one of those stories instead of just hearing about them. But in my house, 18 was your freedom age, because a lot of those stories took place after hours at So Said Bar or Shindig, or story out at some ranch somewhere. And I wasn't allowed to be a part of that until I was 18. That was the age you could make your own decisions. So I did get a couple of years with him where we got to fraternize like that, as more like big brother, little brother instead of father-son. Still father-son, but I got to be there and be a part of some of the stories. I got to take some road trips to go, for instance, collect from people that owed him money. And I would be the one that he'd take in, even long before I was 18, even younger than that he would take into the guy's office, in the high rise in Houston, the guy who owed him, $120,000. And I was the one that was there to shame. My presence was there to shame.
My boy's going to go hungry.
Yeah, hey, meet him. Yeah. Hello, Mr. So-and-so. Yeah, that's my boy here. Mm-hmm. Now, about that $120,000 you owe me. What are you thinking? And to say that, and the guy's got to say, yeah, I want to pay you back. Looking at me over there going, But I don't know how complex it was. I did get to have those couple of years where I felt more like his.
Well, he was loving and tough at the same time.
Well, the tough, I always took the tough as love. The tough always was love. He was never mean. It was never mean. It just corporal punishment to get it over with quick was my mom and dad's post-World War II means of communicating discipline. And I'm sure as hell not going to go, that was wrong. I don't practice it that way today with my kids.
Yeah,
but
it doesn't fly today.
It had its assets. And our family did not hold grudges right after someone got in trouble. And we only got in trouble. It's only one time I got in trouble for what I shouldn't have got in trouble with, and that was from my mom. And she was scared that I'd gone down near the river and I was too young, and it had been raining, so the river was rising. And I didn't get in the water or go swimming, but I went down unaccompanied. I went back, and I remember she found the nearest switch and whipped my butt with it, and it had thorns in it. So my butt bled.
And I heard she wasn't the best aim either.
She was horrible aim. You get on the back of your neck, back of your ankles. Always, she was aiming at your ass, but it may be back of your head or the back of your heels. Anyway, I remember her going, "I'm not sorry for why I whipped you, but I am sorry that branch had thorns. I didn't mean for it to have thorns."
That is a little harsh.
But every other time, what I got in trouble for, there's no question about my guilt. I was wrong. I was guilty. It was clear. There was never, I got punished for something that I didn't do and that I know I shouldn't have done. So there's a lot of things that I did not do as a kid that I should not have done, and I didn't do them for fear of that punishment. So I'm thankful for how they raised me. I never I was never confused with, or never injured. It was never the next day. I was never confused. Their thing was like, I'm not grounding you because your time is valuable. And I'm not going to take your time away from you. So bend over, let's get this done. And once it's done, there's no grudges. We forget about it. And let's drive across town and go get a burger and a shake.
Moving naturally is one of the key tenets of Blue Zones. People in Blue Zones largely don't exercise, but they're moving every 20 minutes or so, which adds up to more physical activity than thinking you're going to get your workout in the gym and that's all you need. A big component to making sure you're moving naturally enough is having the gear that makes you feel comfortable, the gear that actually nudges you out and doing whatever you love to do. And for me, that gear is Quince. It's durable, it's built to last, it's comfortable, and I can do any range of activities with it. Quince has some incredible fall essentials you'll actually want to wear again and again. And I'm talking about their classic fit denim and some really sharp, real wool outerwear. So this fall, layer up with pieces that feel as good as they look. So go to quince.com/livebetter for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. And the good news for my friends up north, they're now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/livebetter. Free shipping and 365-day returns. You know, the principles of a long and healthy life for people are a lot like they are for our dogs, and that goes for our gut too. Did you know that dogs have a microbiome? That's why I think Get Joy's freeze-dried raw dog food is a good idea for your dog's gut. This food is made with real whole food ingredients, including 100% USDA-sourced ingredients, pumpkin for digestion, and salmon for a healthy skin and coat. They don't use any artificial fillers, flavors, or colors. And Get Joy understands that a healthy gut is the foundation of your dog's wellness. That's why their food includes a special belly biotic blend of prebiotics, probiotics, and postbiotics. Did you know you need all three of those? Well, that supports your dog's digestion and immunity. The best part is how easy it is. It's freeze-dried to retain 97% of the nutrients, so you just scoop and serve. No thawing, no prep, just real food that fits your life. Give your dog the gift of longevity and better health. Visit getjoyfood.com/DanB to save 30% on your first order. Plus, you'll get a free scoop and a free bag of dog treats. That's a $33 value. That's getjoyfood.com/DanB.
You know, there may be some merit in it. I've written a lot about Singapore, which is both one of the happiest countries in the world and also has the highest healthy life expectancy. Yep. So there, if you commit a violent crime, they cane you. They bend you over a gurney and give you several two-fisted whacks with something called rattan, which splits the flesh on your backside. Then they put you in jail. But the jail sentence is very short relative to the United States. And while you're in jail, you get therapy, you get job training. And when you come out, you're not a hardened criminal. You've been taught a lesson. Right. You never want to get that caning again. It's one of the most painful things in the world. And their recidivism rate is about a third of what it is in the United States. So I'm not sure what punishment system works the best. So yeah,
Well,
time
yeah.
will tell.
Yeah.
Time
will tell. It's
I
interesting.
don't spank my kids. You don't spank yours, and I guess they're turning out pretty well.
I hope so. Sometimes kids might be, can I please get a lick instead of having to go to my room or not having my laptop for that thing. But I'm not going to judge that, and I don't think any of us should be quick to judge it. It was a different way, different time, and it had its usefulness. You may say, "Oh, it's inhumane." I mean, I wouldn't. We were never even close to injured.
Yeah,
and it was clear. The rules were clear, and we clearly broke them, and had just said,
"Yeah." And as
I
you
broke
kind of
it.
alluded
I took my
to,
chances, and I got caught.
Your self punishment was worse than the corporal.
Yeah,
that was actually
like I said that night. The pain on my father's face—that was the pain.
Yeah,
not the backhand. I didn't hit the floor because I was struck so hard. I hit the floor because I was a coward. And I didn't have legs to stand on, and I was embarrassed.
So a career that began, we could argue, with your father saying, "Don't half-ass it."
Yeah.
Has really peaked with a story that involves your mother. You told it last night. I asked you what your peak experience has been.
Of the last year.
Yeah. Would you tell that story? Because
Sure.
I just think it so beautifully sums up a successful journey.
So I got to do this film, Lost Bus, which is coming out very soon. I'm not sure when this airs, but it may be out now. Be in theaters for a couple of weeks, LA, New York, London, and then it'll be on Apple TV+. So it's based on this true story, 2018, the Paradise Fires. 185 people were killed. And in that, one of the stories, the one we tell, is about this man who comes home because his dad's died, and he needs to take care of his widowed mother and try to reconcile his relationship with his son. While he's there, he takes a part-time job as a school bus driver. He takes a kid to school one morning. There's a fire across the canyon. There's always fires over there. No big deal. By the time in the afternoon he takes the kids home to school, bam, it's jump the canyon, mandatory evacuation. And this guy U-turns to haul ass home to go pick up mom and son to get them out because neither one of them drive. On that drive back to get his mom and son, you get a call through bus dispatch. It says, "I got 22 kids stranded on the east side of town. Is anyone over there with an empty bus that can pick them up?" Ooh, this guy. What do I do? Please, somebody else pick up somebody else make the call. No one else picks it up. He picks it up, says, "I'll do it." Goes and gets the kids, doesn't know what happens with his mom and son because all communications are down. I pitched the story to my family, as I always do, and I'm going to do a film. And my son Levi says, "Hey, how old's your son in the
character?"
Character. I say, "He's 14, 15 year age." He's like, "Huh?" He goes, "Is it cast yet?" I said, "No." He goes, "Can I read for it?" And I was like, walk off, forget it. He comes back up next day. "Bye, can I roll? Can I look at this? Can I read for it?" And I was like, 3, 4. The fourth time he came back, I was like, okay, he's hustling for it now. There's one. I said, all right. I talked to him a little bit about acting. I said, here's the role, read the script. Here's the scene we'll do. We'll shoot it tomorrow afternoon. We talked for about an hour about what it is. And he says, "I'm ready. Put him on camera." I'm like, okay. The kid's holding the frame. He's got good instincts. Does a good take, good audition. I sent it to the casting director and I said, "Look, you tell me, I know you hadn't cast the part, you're looking for the role, but here's my son. This might be good enough for a callback. What do you think?" She writes back, "It's good enough to send straight to the director." I said, okay, well, if you do that, do me a favor, pull his last name. Because as much as I may be for against nepotism, I don't want the last name helping him get it, and I don't want him thinking that the last name ever helped him get it, if he gets it. Send it to the director. Director sees it, says, "That's the kid." The cast director said, "Well, that happens to be Matthew's son." Paul Greengrass, if you know him, is like, even better. So he gets cast as my son. Meanwhile, he's working on the camera crew on the set. And every week, the director and I would get together and talk about how was the last week? How's the show going? How's everything working? Everything seemed to be working, but he said, "I got one problem." He goes, "The scenes we shot, the lady I cast as your mother, are not working. Maybe I miscast her. Maybe it needs a rewrite. I'm not sure, but I'm looking for someone else. I need to recast it. You got anybody in mind?" So I said, start thinking about bring up a different actresses and stuff. And he goes, "Well, what about your mom?" I go, I mean, possibly a good idea. My mom's an absolute Hammond performer, but I don't know if she's right for this role. And he goes, well, no, let's cast her. I said, hang on. I said, let me get her on camera in front of you. And so I write my mom. I said, Mom, give me a minute into an iPhone about why you love being a mom. And a day later, I received this thing of her sitting in the cubbyhole of a window, nicely lit, and it's an 8-minute monologue about what she loves being a mom. And I show this to Paul Greengrass, director, and he's like, perfect. This is exactly what I'm looking for the mother. Cast her. You good with that, Matthew? I'm like, she did just fall down at my older brother's house and broke her tailbone. She's in a wheelchair, and she's like, that's even better for the role. Great. Boom, mom's cast. We come out. We have scenes together, 2 scenes together in the movie where here Levi, my son, plays my son, and my mom plays my mother. And it went well. It went great. Couldn't have gone any better. They were happy to be there. They did good work. Now, cut to declaration time means the movie's done, and we go to Toronto Film Festival a couple weeks ago for the premiere of the movie. And I'm on the carpet, and there's a picture, and I remember the moment. I got my arm around my son here and arm around my mother here. They're both beaming, and I'm like, well, look at this moment as a son,
Yes.
as a father.
Yes.
And they're both so happy to be there. Mom's 93, loving the red carpet, the attention, the flashing lights, just saying yes, yes, yes to the camera, feeling wonderfully relevant, new charge in her. You know, maybe that puts 4 more years on her life, like an Academy Award winner, right? My son just getting into it, learning and having a reverence for the craft and seeing me do it from the outside for all those years and then coming in and getting a piece of it himself and doing it in a scene with me. That's something that's going to get cooler and cooler to me as time passes. It's already exceptionally cool, but talk about something to leave, a legacy that's outlived me, my mom, and my son. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's such a perfect peak experience too, because it blends not only a high moment in your professional career, but your mother lives with you. Well, I don't know if everybody knows.
She's not living with me now. She moved out. She went back to her retirement home, which she likes because it's got one story. She knows where everything is.
But she lived with you for several
quite a few years. Yes.
Yes. So you had this very tight, extended family, and the fact that all of you end up in the same movie, the same set, and they did it on their own. You didn't plug them in. It was the natural, I would say, hard work. There's some talent going in the McConaughey gene pool, but there's 4 parts hard work and 1 part talent, I would say. But so many people with your level of success, it completely corrupts them. They turn to liquor, they turn to drugs, they turn to sex, and you've turned to family and faith. And I don't know if those two go hand in hand, but from knowing you now very well for 7 years, I would say those are the 2 pillars that define your life.
I have, and have had my indulgences to, I don't know, maybe better cope with fame or stress or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I know there are amendments. I know there's stops, not stays. My family and my faith, those aren't stops. I'm not renting. Those are stays. Those are non-negotiables. And things that are about immortality. Fame's mortal. My job's mortal. It doesn't mean I respect it any less, because when I got married and when I had kids, my, acting moved to the 3-hole, most important things, where it was 1. I think I got better at it when I moved to the 3-hole. Didn't lose any more reverence for it. Have just as much respect for it. Work ethic became probably better, but it wasn't the one-all be-all seeking for my identity. I get a family, I'm like, this is immortality. Become a father, you become a mother, you become immortal if you're lucky.
Yeah.
And that's playing the immortal game, the immortal finish line. If I can get 3 kids out of the house and become their independent, conscientious, confident individuals, healthy as much as possible, what greater export is there? If mom, she's rolling right along. I can pray for her. Like she says about my oldest brother, she says, I pray for you, Matthew, and I pray for Pat. I don't pray for Rube because I don't think it matters.
And he's going where he's going.
Now her, just talked to her today. She's like, what are you doing? She goes, I'm getting ready for Pilates. I just had my lunch, sitting on the back porch, reading the news, a bunch of stuff I don't really care about. Now I'm about to go in and do my Pilates. it's not that much going on in my life, but I tell you what, it's just pretty structured. And there's not much for me to stress about. And if there was, I wouldn't. She's going along fine. She's not missing out. She's been living on the same amount of money per year for 40 years. I'll give her American Airlines miles, to go fly somewhere. And, when she had her companion, CJ, they love to travel and we give them some money. But if I gave my mom $10,000 right now, she'd go like, it'd be sitting there on the damn counter a year from now. Going like, I don't want anything different than what I have. So mom's going, she's on her track. She's not afraid to die, not looking forward to it, but not afraid of it. And hopefully her body can stay up with her head because above the neck, she's sharp as a tack.
What surprised me about you, getting to know you, is how important faith is to you. Your 50th birthday, you brought your pastor.
Yeah.
Fun guy, by the way.
Yeah.
He was. But have you always been this religious?
I believe if I'm seeking to be a better man, if I'm seeking to be more in the imitation of God's likeness and what and my transcendent self or better self or whatever we want to call that there's no better thing to be doing. That's what higher.
Yeah, but
what higher seeking?
In your naked bongo drum days,
Yeah.
were you going to church those days? Or?
I was just as faithful.
You were,
Yeah.
and just as showing up and.
Yeah, and let's not relegate naked bongos into the debit section. I still do that.
No,
I've done that. I just did that in the last 2 weeks. I just got more room now. I don't wake up the neighbors. So, no, I was, it's not like I've become all puritanical. It's what I'm saying. Let's sell Sunday morning like a Saturday night. I still have fun. I still party. I still have a good time. Doesn't mean I need to be become a tyrant. It doesn't mean I'm going to become a nihilist. I'm not going to sit there. No.
It's actually a beauty thing. And, people who listen to this podcast, they're interested in longevity and happiness.
Right.
And it turns out that people who go to church actually live about 4 years longer than people who don't. You hold everything else constant, churchgoers, and you have such a big life with so many demands on your time, but yet you find time on Sunday morning. And I'm just wondering what you'd say to people who don't have faith in their life yet.
Mm-hmm. Hey,
how do you find it?
First, ask yourself who or what you would die for. You answer that question, there's your spot to go to double down on belief. Now, I'm not going to sit here and try and convert you or talk anyone into going, but you better believe in God. No, I'm not going to say that. You can find that on your own way. I will say that heaven or not, one of the surest ways to stay and remain in the rut of pain and disillusion and unhappiness and dissatisfaction is to not believe that there's a way out, to not have hope that there's a path out, to not do what you can to make the next right move, to go forward, to go on, to seek higher ground. So heaven or not, believing in a divinity or pursuit in your own life of your own more divine self is the best bet I can see out there, the best prescription out there for I see about evolving and getting out of a rut and getting out of pain. Even if there is no heaven, it helps here, live, this mortal life. Now, I'm hoping there is a heaven. I don't know. I'm doing my best to live like there is. And is that in vain? Sometimes, yeah, it is in vain. But I sit there and go, I'll give you a little forgiveness on that, McConaughey. At least you're trying to stay in the asset section. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And maybe you're not, those are times where I'm like not as pure and as faithful as I wish I was. So I do it for vanity's sake. And I'm hoping if God's there, he's forgiven me going, well, at least you're trying.
Yeah.
Part of your process. I go through doubts. Part of the reason I wrote this book, going through doubt, becoming cynical about shit, looking down my nose at people, objectifying women, men, thinking, nah, man. Found myself doing that. What happens then? Start looking in the mirror, it's doing the same damn thing to me. Now I'm going, oh, this scares me. And after getting scared, it starts to piss me off. I'm like, We talked about this a long time ago, McConaughey. Cynicism, that's a living disease that we can choose. And that's a good way to be a walking dead man. Bullshit. So if I'm looking around at reality, I'm watching the news, and you're looking around and the world's telling you there's no reason to believe or nothing to believe in, I say, well, let's elevate. Let's think about ideals, dreams, poems, and prayers. Get out of the logic and academia of the math, because the math ain't adding up. And let's, instead of looking to try and make a dream out of reality, let's look at dreams and say, hey, keep a beginner's mind and believe that we can make that dream a reality. So I've kind of flipped the script on myself, and it's largely my own spiritual therapy to have written this and to be talking about it and to take it on the road. And I'm hearing along the way, and before I wrote it, that a lot of people are looking for belief. That if the doubt wins, we are all going to lose. So heaven or not, find something to believe in. If you don't know what that is, I'll go back to that first answer. Ask yourself who or what you die for. And I think everyone's got something to answer to that. Don't look at that. Start living for that. And you'll find that belief. And you might find faith. I don't know if you will. For me, I believe in God. This is not only for people who don't believe in God. Not only for people who do believe in God.
It's not only a good way to live your life to become a better person, but also eternity is a long time. And at least you've done what you could. If there is indeed a heaven, and there is the God that we think it is, you're probably in.
I don't know. But even if it's done, if it's black, the day our heart quits beating and we flatline.
And you're eaten by the
to
word.
believe and to live as if and to pursue that divinity, that sacred within us, to pursue that, to pay attention to that, makes this life better.
I love it. You have a great, can I have that book back?
Yeah.
You have a great passage in here that I think sums up this book perfectly. It's right here. If you'd read
Binks?
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's sing more than we might make sense. Believe in more than the world can conclude. Get more impressed with the wow instead of the how. Let inspiration interrupt our appointments. Dream our way to reality. Serve some soul food to our hungry heads. Put proof on the shelf for a season and rhyme our way to reason. Forget logic, certainty, owning or making a startup company of it. Let's go beyond what we can merely imagine and believe in the poetry of life. Musical bridges from the mundane. Poems are a Saturday in the middle of the week. They illuminate belief, inviting new ways to seek. Poems are songs of romance with ourselves, others, space, place, and time. Hymns of holy language, angelic ditties of the divine. Poems are also prayers that rhyme.
Poems and Prayers, Matthew McConaughey. This is another huge New York Times bestseller. We need it right now. There's not much to believe in the world right now. It's hard to know what's right and what's wrong. And
that scale and the goalpost even move once we have the ball in the air, it seems like. And I don't know, how much does every generation go? The path to American dream is an illusion. I don't know. But it seems ambiguous to what that is. More ambiguous now than usual. When we see success without profit. We see sometimes more of whatever it is being the measure of what a person should be and what they pursue. But it doesn't have value to them. It doesn't give them profit, and they end up lonely, and they got shit relationships, and they can't look in the mirror and without flinching. Is that really success? Well, maybe it is without the profit. Just a bit of a constitution, man, a little expectation for the rules of engagement. Come on, man. I don't want to go in going, 9 out of the 10 things I think about you, I don't trust you. What kind of life is that a way to live? What kind of lens is that to see? I'm not saying don't be wise. I'm not saying there shouldn't be consequences. But come on, man. I mean, if we could invest in ourselves more, I think that's where we can invest in others more. That's where it's amazing, and I see it happen all the time. Again, be wise. But when you do put trust in someone and you see the best in someone, it gives them an invitation to give you that back and find that in themselves. All of a sudden they go, you just invited me to do that. I've been looking for someone to do that, show that part of myself. And you get a like response. And just try that out, but also try it out in the mirror. I love what you talk about. You're re-engineering you and blue zones and cafes and, tightening roads to 25 miles an hour in downtown retail so people park out and walk for engineering, putting the vegetables at the beginning of the lunch, engineering health. And I'm talking about behavior. And you've always been like, boy, that's a big rock up a hill. And I get it. But I believe if enough of us double down on our belief for one more, whether it's salvaging our marriage or our character or our investment in our children or what have you, or a friend or even our job, if enough of us can go one more step in that investment, that's a great way to move forward.
But a lot of it's leadership. And we've had leaders in this country who've said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And there are leaders who lead with kindness, and there are leaders who pull people together. And a few years ago, two of our friends, Matt O'Hare and John Mackey, we spent 3 days with you exploring, trying to talk you into running for president.
Yeah.
Why? You're a great communicator. You inspire people. You're well known, but also you have a good heart, and you have a way of galvanizing people to go after the good. And I think that's what our country needs. And I'm just wondering, have you given any more thought to entering politics?
It's continued to be on my menu of thoughts of the categories and places for me in the future. As I said then, and I still say it now, I need to measure, is that the most useful place and category for me? To what extent would some argue, don't change who you are. That's what you are, is what we're saying, turn it up. And that's what that needs. I don't know. Is it my initial language, politics? No. More of a poet and philosopher, communicator that way. I don't want to lose that, but is that maybe what we need more of? Getting people to believe in themselves. And also, look, I do think no matter who the leader is, if we get the right leaders in the position, those leaders need to put it on us to go, I can work on policies and changes, but I can't do it without you.
Yeah.
And I think that more people are looking for that, to be asked for that ownership, to be relied on. And I don't think our leaders have asked us to be relied on as much as they could, or in a way that we feel collectively, yes. Because you're showing me the steam as the leader, and you're walking the walk. I think people would want to get behind that. I don't know if that's for me. Right now, my default place to go is I've got 3 kids in the house, and I'm a part, and I'm in place, and I am present, doing the one thing that I always knew I wanted to do and always wanted to be a father.
And you're doing a great job.
Doing the best I can. Let me see when I have 3 children out of the house. Hopefully, if it goes as planned. I'm not going to be. Hope they're individual and want to move on by when it's time. And let me measure if that's the place for me. When it comes, Dan, I do believe, and I could be wrong, I do believe I've been conscientious enough and aware, and have been investigating and watching and looking and being in those circles enough that if I go into it, I'm going to look up and I'm going to be in it.
Yeah.
It will have pulled me in. I'm open. I'm just not going to try and put a square screw in a round hole for the sake of, well, let me just see if I can pull it off. No, I've built a currency that I appreciate. And, arguments, there's arguments for and there's arguments against. I will continue to seek out, hey, what forms of leadership am I or could I be most useful at?
Well, the job of a president, I think, is to inspire a nation more so than anything and imbue it with the type of values that bring people together and make us better people as individuals. And I read this book, Poem and Prayers, and I know you as a human and as an individual, and you possess those fundamental American values of responsibility, of family, of knowing your sense of purpose, of kindness, of generosity. And you're a great communicator and you're a great motivator. And it's what I think our country needs. And I'm not saying left or right, but I'm just saying together. I'm just saying we need to be pulled together. And both the good old boys here in Texas like you and the people who gave you an Academy Award in Hollywood like you. And demographically, and psychographically and spiritually, I think you are more qualified for that job than anybody that's come along in the last century.
Oh,
that's Dan Buettner speaking.
Thank you, Dan Buettner. Thank you for seeing me that way. I take that as a major compliment because that's a position that I have incredible reverence for, and understand and have a reverence for the responsibility and conscientiousness of that position. And at the least, it's a wonderful thing for all of us to consider what if for ourselves. Because it's amazing how objective you get in a 360-degree view about your own opinions and your own values. And you're forced to ask, so are those scalable? Are those should those be affiliations? Would those be great executions for the masses? And you test them and you see what they come up against, and you really start to form what you really believe in and what you don't. Now, that's one of the things that I've found out about being around a lot of politicians. They're not necessarily doing what they believe.
They're doing what gets them elected.
Okay? And there is an inherent sense of betrayal that comes with the job. I'm not willing to betray myself. Can I be done without that?
Good point.
Well, I remember, it may sound like too quixotic and too out of bounds to think about it for you, but I remember a few years ago, you weren't even running for governor of Texas, but you were the most popular candidate and never announced it. I don't think you even were thinking about it, but somehow
I was thinking about it.
Somebody got the idea that you'd run for governor and you were the most popular potential candidate. So who knows? Stranger things have happened.
Stranger things have happened.
I want to do something fun real quick.
Man. Yeah.
We do this. Blue Zones is, after all, about longevity.
Yes.
And we've identified some of the characters you've played over time. And I'm going to ask you about their life expectancy, how long they live.
Yeah.
So, the question is the character dead at 40 or going to live to 100? All right. We'll start with Cooper, Interstellar.
Well, he made it back.
Yep.
But he probably went on another. He's out there. Who knows? I think he's over 400 years old by now, isn't he? He's been on another place in time. Time runs a little slower where he was.
So he made it to 100.
Hundreds.
There we go. And he also purpose-driven, strong family bond, endurance. All right, from Dazed and Confused.
Yeah.
David Wooderson, dead at 40 or made it to 100?
Oh, much closer to 100.
Oh, really?
Zero stress. Zero stress.
What a fast car.
Hey, fast car. But he had his frequency and had kept minimal options in his life and had probably three redheaded daughters and still does the local midnight community radio station, DJs it, has his playlist, has his ritual through the day, smokes a little joint when he does it, and life's just cruising by and he don't want anything he doesn't have.
Was he a good dad?
Yeah, he was a cool dad.
I love it. I love it. From Lincoln lawyer, Mick Haller. Dead at 40, made it to 100.
Oh, Mickey was on the edge, man. He might have, when he said there in the last frame of that movie, hey, nah, we'll stick it to him next time. He probably seeked out enough danger. He might have got clipped, but he had a fun time doing it. He won the last case.
High stress, didn't sleep very well, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, how about, this is my favorite from True Detective. I love
Rustin Cole?
Russ Cole. Dead at 40, or did he make it to 100?
He made it. He found some grace and forgiveness there at the very end, and it just pulled a little bit of a plug out of his heart and head that let a little air out. And that man just needed a little room.
He was tightly wound.
To breathe. He was never going to be one that gives up, but just a little bit to go, I can stroll through life just at certain times now. I don't have to be on at the ready to be the absolute best detective at all times.
I love, by the way, how you drop right back into these characters. It's like you become Rust. You go from Matthew McConaughey to Rust, and all of a sudden you're Rust for 30 seconds.
Well, I remember him, I guess.
Well, you're feeling him.
Yeah.
All right, Magic Mike from Dallas.
Dallas. Shit, man. He don't care. He was ready. He made good money at the last the last strip shows. He ran it. It was running well in Tampa. Come 40. He made it past 40. Come on, he made it to 50.
All right.
Come on, man.
Got the half century.
He was a great capitalist.
Lovable guy. Skinny.
Dallas? Wow, he was in thong shape, bro.
That ain't a good-looking thong, though, I have to say.
Rattlesnake thong? So shameless.
That gave me the willies. I'm sorry. All right. We Are Marshall, Coach Jack.
Jack Lingle. Jack Lingle is, he was around for quite some time.
Embodiment of service.
Yeah, he was. He did give a lot of
emotional
service.
Intelligence.
Yeah, absolutely. And he did a lot to give later in his life, too. Yeah, he's making it. Give him 100.
There we go. Any of your other characters who you think can go the distance?
See, I can't probably think of one that wouldn't go the distance. Let's just keep living. I believe in all of them.
How about you? I mean, in your book, you said you'd rather live 90 good years than 60 crappy years. I mean,
90. I'd rather 60
good years rather than 90 crappy.
Yeah, look, that's a bit of a comment on would I like to live longer? Great. Do I want to live with the obsession of, again, chasing this number? More. I've got to get the higher number. I've got to get more money. I got to live the more years for that to be the measure of success. I see people doing it at for the sake of, and they're missing out on, what's the word? They're missing out on quality of life, chasing a number. And I'm going, is that really is the winner the one who lives the longest? I want to look at quality over quantity. And that's what I mean when I'm talking about the difference between success and profit. A lot of people succeed, but they may not profit. More quantity does not necessarily mean more quality. Now, we can parlay quantity and quality. That means we have success and profit. And we probably live longer, but we also have a great life. So I'm not willing to sacrifice quality for the quantity.
But by the way, yeah, I would say the Silicon Valley version of longevity is the quantity. They want to make it to 120 or 150. In blue zones, people are living into their 90s or 100s, but the journey's wonderful.
Yeah.
They grow their own vegetables. They live close to the earth. They
play checkers down at the bar with a glass of wine with the buddies. Yeah.
Sit down to dinner with their family. Yeah. They walk up to the church on Sunday. They know their sense of purpose.
Some of them smoke cigarettes and none of them wear a watch.
That's right. And they enjoy their glass of wine. Yeah. Maybe if they got some pantalones, they give another couple years.
Yeah. Or win an Academy Award, or what's the other one? What's the other 4-year plus? Academy Award gives you 4 more years, and going to church gives you 4 more years. Man, so if you go to church and you win a few Academy Awards, that's 16 years.
One of those is easier than the other. And that lesson to those of you listening. Final question.
Yeah.
It's your 100th birthday.
Yeah.
You got your 3 kids sitting around you. Camilla, looking great as always. Those 100 candles burning. What's the definition of success? You've accomplished so much at 55. You're just past.
Yeah. Look, here, I've thought about this, and I was always going through okay, so if, God's there and you get to the part of the gates, what's the first thing to say? What's God say? Right? And for so many years, I was like, I thought he'd say, thank you, buddy. And 5 years ago, I woke up out of a dream and I had died, and I got out the curb of the gates, and he did not say, thank you, buddy. You know what he said?
No.
You're welcome.
That's like flipping the script.
Long, easy, hard, short.
There it is.
You're welcome.
Perfect way to end it. Matthew, that was phenomenal.
Enjoyed that always, Dan.
I was at your 50th. I hope I'm at your 100th.
I do too. I do too.
You'll be saying you're welcome.
Come on. Or someone will, hopefully.